What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I am taking a look at another horror movie, because horror movies aren't just for Halloween, they're for all year round, and they're a pretty big genre, and one which is pumping out movies all year round, so I don't see why I should have to wait to Halloween, to October, to wait to review these movies. I will still focus a whole lot on Halloween movies in October, but I'll do the more stereotypical ones, so we only have a couple more months to wait until then, but I should get your fix with The Substance. The Substance, I watched it because I was told to on Instagram. Like, I saw people be like, oh, this is a fucking brilliant movie, and one of my friends actually recommended me this one, the one that recommended me sort of As Above, So Below, and also Double Blind. So they have a pretty 50-50 track record of good and bad movies, because one was good and one was terrible, and this one, I don't actually know how to feel about it. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm sort of on the fence, so I'm hoping that talking about it and analyzing it and just seeing what I liked and disliked about it will help me come to a more satisfied conclusion towards the end of this video. So, without any further delay, let's take a look at what Google has to say. So, The Substance is a 2024 movie. It's a horror sci-fi, which is 2 hours and 20 minutes. Pretty average length of a movie nowadays. It has a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb, and 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 3.9 out of 10 on Letterboxd. You can watch this on Amazon Prime and Sky. Elizabeth Sparkle, renowned for her acrobatic show, faces a devastating blow on her 50th birthday as her boss fires her. Amid her distress, a laboratory offers her a substance which promises to transform her into an enhanced version of herself. Right, cool. How the actual story goes is pretty much how it starts. The Google pretty much got it right. She then goes home, takes that substance, and a younger version of herself emerges from her back. They then have to swap every 7 days. If they don't, shit will go wrong. So the young version is living life, having a really fucking fancy time. She goes and she sort of gets her own show. She becomes so popular that she gets her own New Year's event, and she's swapping every 7 days, but every time they swap, something a little bit goes wrong. Either one of them takes a little bit of an extra day, one of them leaves the house at a shit show, one of them is more popular than the other one. The older one is becoming miserable and really upset towards the younger version, in terms of jealousy and in terms of like just absolute upset with what she's doing and how she's sort of living her life. And then we have the pretty much opposite of that, thinking the young one hating the old one because she's a slob. She doesn't do anything. She's working her ass off, whereas the older one's just sat there eating, watching TV all day. Like, there is no balance there, and they're constantly fighting, constantly taking days off each other, which is killing one another. The older person doesn't want to give up this young sort of version of herself because she feels that this young version is doing like good, and that she's basically just a young version of her following in her dream, and she finds sort of like comfort in that, so she lets her keep going, taking more and more of her body until she becomes this sort of decrepit sort of witch old lady from Snow White. And then she tries to end the trial, end the substance, kill the younger one, but she ends up not doing it, and they both wake up at the same time, which is something that shouldn't happen. But she ends up killing the old version, and then because she's killed the old version, the one that is like keeping them both alive, she's slowly dying, and then she tries to use the substance again, which comes out in a absolute fucking horrific monster that tries to do the New Year's show. And in doing the New Year's show, she gets herself killed and she explodes, and then she's forgotten into nothing. That's the movie. I'm gonna be honest, I thought it was a little bit boring because it was something that we see quite often with a theme like this, where there is like a clone character, where they're constantly arguing and constantly fighting, constantly taken away from each other. It is a very basic clone story type, and I didn't really find much interest from it. They did do it in a little bit of a creative way where they are taking life from each other and taking away sort of life force, health, some form of energy from each other, and I thought that was quite creative and something that hadn't been done before and made it a little bit more of raising the stakes. But I didn't really care for the older one because she did it for selfish reasons, and then the young one was doing it for selfish reasons, which just proved that they were basically the same person. So it did feel quite, no value. It felt like there was no substance, did you get it, to the movie, because it just felt like a slog, if that makes sense. Like, it just felt like the same person was fighting with themselves because they have the same views and the same sort of aspirations, and it technically is that because they are the same person and they do follow the same sort of stuff. But it was good because it had some good practical effects, and I really liked the monster at the end. I really liked how we had one of them losing their sort of life but not being able to call it off because she still had respect and admiration, and she still knew what the young one was going through and how it felt for the young one because she went through it for herself. But she was killing her in the process, and she was scared of dying, but she ended up getting killed by it anyway, so there was really no point. The young one also pissed me off because one of her teeth fell out. Yes, you heard me right. One of her teeth fell out. She then proceeds to pull out 3 more. She proceeds to pull out 3 fucking more. But those 3, they're not the back ones, they're the fucking front 3, so she's missing like a big gaping hole in her mouth, right? That shit is wild. Why the fuck would you pull out your own teeth? Yes, one fell out, but if you go to pull one and it comes out, you don't then do that another twice to fucking double down, to double check. You already know they're coming out. You don't pull them out. So that shit wound me up, and it also made me feel gross. I really did not like that. I was stressed throughout most of this because the body gore was fucking grim, and it made me uncomfortable because I could imagine how that shit would feel. And I had nightmares when I was younger about teeth falling out, and then if my teeth fell out, I would die. Yeah, that would... I'll do an animation video on that at some point. I do plan on doing animated videos. I'm still practicing my animation skills, so don't take my word. I am planning to get at least 1 out this year. So hopefully that comes out in the near future, but don't hold your breath, is all I'm saying, because my animation skills are still quite shit, so, bear with, please. Give me more time. It's harder than I thought. I underestimated animators on YouTube, so I am sorry. But, yeah, continuing this, it was fucking grim, and I was so uncomfortable watching the body crawl around inside her back and then emerge. That was squeamish and made me sort of cringe and curl my toes, curl my fingers, and cover my face. I didn't cover my eyes. I watched it all the way through, but I covered my face. Like, I covered my mouth because I gasped and gagged. And I also didn't like it when she pulled out her teeth. That was grim. And that was pretty much it. Story-wise, it was very basic. Sort of prosthetics-wise, it was pretty cool, and I would say it's like a pretty amazing feat to do all that with prosthetics instead of CGI. It made it look a lot more real, a lot more believable, and a lot more human. And we are seeing that a lot more with sort of movies nowadays, where sort of straying away from CGI and going more into prosthetics where we can to make the movie feel more real, more alive, and more sort of human compared to machine, because the sort of AI situation isn't the greatest. I'm going to be honest. AI is pretty bad. So people are still unhappy with that, and it's quite scary how good AI is getting as well. AI is getting really fucking good. That's not happening. The monster wasn't that scary at the end, I am going to be honest. It was ugly, but it wasn't that scary. It did remind me of a Doctor Who episode. I'm going to be honest, it did remind me of a Doctor Who villain. That's the vibes I was getting from this. With the monster, again, it just very much reminded me of Doctor Who with like the prosthetics and how it was all man-made, and it's very sort of, I don't know, it's very Doctor Who vibes with the villain. And there really wasn't a villain. I'm going to be honest, saying that there was a villain is kind of wrong, because she is the quote-unquote hero and villain of the story. It's all her, and I wouldn't really call her a hero. I wouldn't really call her a villain. I'd probably just call her an asshole, because that's kind of what she is. She isn't anything too special. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say. It's not as good as I thought it was, and I definitely think that it's overhyped. I definitely think this movie was overhyped. I did not have as good of a time watching this as I thought. It's not a terrible movie, but it's not a brilliant movie. There was a little bit of nudity, but that was needed because it was like a giving birth scene that they were naked. But I don't see why they had to be naked all the time. So the little bit of nudity was, at the start, was okay. Because if you woke up in a nude body, you would check yourself out. That's fair, that's valid. But going to sleep naked every time, I didn't fucking get that. I didn't agree with that. I personally wouldn't do that. But you do you, boo. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. I got nothing else. It was a pretty mid movie. There was some good parts, there was some bad parts. Overall, giving it a 5 out of 10, because I do agree with it being rather mid compared to other movies that I've seen over the past couple of days. So other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this YouTube video. I'll see you all next one. I hope you all have an excellent day, and please do recommend more horror movies, because I'm absolutely in love with them right now, and I am on a very much horror movie spree, so any recommendations would be